The Untold Stories of Avadutas. We have joined together to explain the untold stories of Avadutas, which have been documented in the 13th century in a text called Pada Sri Vallabha Charitamrutam by a great person called Shankara Bhatt, who has been instigated by Pada Sri Vallabha himself. We have been instigated by our Sri Satguru Sri Sai Baba to reach the contents of the book to his devotees so that the message of Avadutas reaches the devotee, which will change the listener's perception on the Guru and take him more close to the Gurus. This text contains the hidden secrets of many Avadutas, creation of the universe, histories of many saints, gurus, and famous people, and many incidents which have taken place in the recent past. Surprisingly, we can also see the history of our Satguru Sri Sai Baba, the secret of his manifestation on the earth, and the Leelas which he will be doing, which has been documented in the 13th century. We have tried our best to explain each chapter to the best of our knowledge. Introduction of the writer of this book. This Charitamurtam was written by Mr. Shankara Bhatt, who was from Karnataka, South India. Pada Sri Vallabha Charitamrutam is a biography of Lord Dattatreya during his presence on earth in the 13th century. Shankara Bhatt was chosen by Pada Sri Vallabha himself to write the Charitamrutam. Shankar Bhatt starts his journey to see Lord Krishna at Udupi. As per Lord Krishna's instruction, he went to Kanyakumari to see Lord Kanika Parameshwari. She instructs him to meet Pada Sri Vallabha. From here, Shankara Bhatt starts his journey to meet Pada Sri Vallabha. He travels thousands of kilometers by walk, bullock cart, horses and chariot till he reaches Kurvapuram, which is in present near Raichur, Karnataka. During his travel, he meets many people who shared the glory of Pada Sri Vallabha and also gains many experiences throughout his journey, which are documented in this Charitamrita. Finally, he reaches Kurvapuram and meets Pada Sri Vallabha. From there, Pada Sri Vallabha guides him to record many secrets of the creation and also has many names referred and the secrets of their previous births. Pada also tells him about his further manifestations. After Pad's disappearance from Kurvapuram, he would appear in Shankara Bhatt's dreams in midnights and help him to complete this Charitamrutam. Shankara Bhatt continues to live at Kurvapuram and completes the Charitamrutam. The original Charitamrutam was written on a palm leaf in Sanskrit. When people read and recollect this sacred biography, they will get rid of all worries of worldly existence and be rewarded with the grace of Pada Sri Vallabha. As a consequence of that, they will get happiness, peace, and equanimity. Let us encourage all relatives, kith and kin, and friends to read this book and earn the grace of Pada Sri Vallabha. The encounter between Shankar Bhatt and Vyagneshwara. My salutations to Sri Saraswati, the lineage of my preceptors, Sri Krishna Bhagavan, and all gods and goddesses. I propose to describe the glory of Pada Sri Vallabha, the latest manifestation of Lord Datta. He is the Lord of innumerable universes. Sri Dattatreya is the oldest and the eternal one. Sri Dattatreya has incarnated in this Kali Yuga as Pada Sri Vallabha in the village of Pithapuram, which is situated in the Godavari region of Andhra Pradesh. It is impossible, even for the great scholars, to describe the grandeur of his divine play. I am completely ignorant and illiterate. Therefore, I submit in all humility that my attempt to portray his life history is only on account of his will, divine order, and his divine blessings. My name is Shankar Bhatt. I belong to Karnataka Desh. I am from the Samarth sector and hail from Bharadwaj Gotra. I went to the holy town of Udupi on pilgrimage to visit Bhagwan Sri Krishna in his temple. There, the infant Krishna, with a beautifully colored peacock feather adorning his head, gave me his darshan. He ordered me to visit goddess Sri Kanika Parameshwari in Kanyakumari. At that time, the mother saw me with her benevolent looks and said, "Shankara, I am pleased with the sacred devotion in your heart. Go to Kurvapuram and take the darshan of Pada Sri Vallabha and obtain fulfillment of your birth. By the mere darshan of Pada Sri Vallabha, an undefinable experience will occur to your mind, Atma and all your organs." Thus, I received the grace of Mother Goddess and started from that holy place. On my way, I reached a village called Malai, which was at a short distance from Kanyakumari. I learned that while Hanuman was carrying the Sanjeevani mountain from the Himalayas, a small piece of it had fallen down here, and therefore this village is called Malai. The hill in the village of Malai is beautiful to behold. Therefore, are some caves in it. I learnt that the area is a hilly tract inhabited by Siddha Purushas taking penance in an invisible form. I was looking into those caves in the hope of seeing any great person. I was hoping to get lucky by seeing one of them. However, a tiger was standing at the entrance of one cave. At the sight of the tiger, trembling and tremor started in all my limbs. Agitated with great fear, I cried aloud at once, "Pada Sri Vallabha Dattatreya Prabhu," in despair. The tiger stood like a domestic animal, and an aged sage emerged from the cave. The entire area of Malai reverberated with the name of Pada Sri Vallabha all at once. Then the old sage said, "My son, you are a fulfilled one. Only great siddhas, great yogis, wise men and paramahansa who dwell in nirvikalp samadhi realizes that Lord Datta has incarnated as Pada Sri Vallabha in this Kali Yuga. You could come here only because you are lucky. This is a land of spiritual pursuit. It is a Siddha Bhumi. Your desire will get satisfied. You will certainly be rewarded with the meeting of Pada Sri Vallabha. The tiger at the entrance of the cave is Janani. I advise you to salute him." Then I saluted that wise person who was in the form of a tiger. Immediately, the tiger roared the sound, "Om." The whole of Malai resounded with that roaring sound. It had also melodiously sung the prayer, "Sripad Rajaram Saranam Prapaday." I was watching this wonderful scene. All the atoms in the form of the tiger disintegrated, and a man with lustrous celestial body manifested there. That celestial person paid obeisance to the old sage and flew only to the sky with his luminous body. The old sage who was before me smiled. He invites me into the cave. I entered the cave silently. A stream of compassion was flowing from the eyes of the aged sage. He created fire by the power of his will. He created sacred material, sweets, fruits, for offering them as an oblation to the sacred fire. He offered those things into the sacred fire while chanting Vedic hymns. I performed this sacrifice for the welfare of the world, Yagna. Fortunately, you have witnessed this sacrifice. As a result of witnessing the sacrifice, you will get the darshan of Pada Sri Vallabha, who is an incarnation of Sri Datta. This is a very rare fortune. The merit earned in many births will suddenly fructify and give such unattainable fortune. I saluted that great personage and said, Great one among Siddhas, I am not a scholar or a yogi. I am not a devotee. I am an ignoramus. Kindly take complete mercy on me and clear some of my doubts. The old hermit agreed to it. My son, in the Godavari region of Andhra Pradesh, there is an ancient village called Athriyapuram, which was famous as a land where sage Athri conducted austerities. In that village, a Brahmin was born in the Gotra of Kaipa in an orthodox family. His parents named Vyagreshwar Sharma. Even though his father was a great scholar, the son became an incorrigible idiot. This is not a good sign, as he couldn't attend anything auspicious and he neither could perform the Gayatri Mantra prayer. So he has entreated his parents also. Due to this, he had developed an inferiority complex. He heard those great ascetics live in the Himalayas, and by their grace one can realize knowledge of the self. Once during dawn, he had a dream. In that dream, he saw a celestial body radiating with divine effulgence. That body was descending to the earth from the firmament. As soon as his divine feet touched, the earth was filled with heavenly illumination. The divine child approached Vyagreshwara Sharma with slow steps and asserted, Why fear when I am here? There is the bondage of depth between me and this village. Without the bondage of in-depthness, even a dog cannot come to us. Go to Badrikaranya in the Himalayan region, and you will be blessed with auspiciousness. Saying so, the celestial disappeared. Vyagreshwara Sharma reached Badrikaranya. He was eating food on the way without much effort. However, a dog was following him from the beginning of the journey. He was wandering along with the dog in Badrikaranya. In his wanderings, he took a holy bath in the Urvashi Kund. The dog also took a holy bath along with him. At that time, a great personage accompanied by his disciples came to Urvashi Kund for religious ablutions. Vyagreshwara prostrated at the feet of the great personage and prayed to accept him as a disciple. The great person kindly consented. The dog disappeared immediately when the great one accepted Vyagreshwara as his disciple. That great person averred, Vyagreshwara, the dog which followed you is the personification of the merit earned by you in previous births. Goaded by time, you could come here and you could take bath in this Urvashi Kund. You are attracted to the land of penance by Narayan. All this is the grace of Pada Sri Vallabha. Vyagreshwara Sharma bowed down and asked, Master, who is Pada Sri Vallabha? How did his grace shower on me? The Siddha replied at length to the questions posed to him. My son, Pada Sri Vallabha is Lord Datta himself. In Treta Yuga, Bharadwaj Maharshi conducted a huge sacrifice known as Savitra Kathaka Chayanamu in Pithapuram. He invited Shiva and goddess Parvati to that function. In Pyamgya Brahman, an ancient text which foretells the future, it was mentioned that many great persons, siddhas and yogis are born in the lineage of Bharadwaj in accordance with the boon granted by God Shiva and goddess Parvati to him. Even though they were lost in other parts of the country, Pyamgya Brahmanam and Sandra Sindhu Veda were carefully preserved in Shambhala village, the land of the incarnation of Kalki. Sindhu Veda is a mystical Sanskrit work written on palm leaves dealing with time and the incidents of the future. And Pyamgya Brahmanam is an old Indian text with comments on the Vedas. At the end of Kali Yuga and at the beginning of Satyuga, the golden age, also called Krita Yuga, Sripal Sri Vallabha, an incarnation of Sri Datta, will arrive in Pithampuram in physical form. Only when the sins give results does devotion to Lord Datta will develop. When devotion to Datta becomes perfect, Sripal Sri Vallabha will grant the wealth of sight, touch and speech in any age and at any time. As the meritorious deeds of your past lives are strong, the mercy of Sripal Sri Vallabha showers on you. I am now leaving for meeting my preceptor Mahavtar Babaji. I will return after 1 year. Practice Kriya Yoga in the caves reserved for you and attempt for the realization of self-knowledge. Thus instructing, the sage left for Dronagiri in the region of Sanjeevani mountain. Vyagreshwara Sharma sat in the cave assigned to him. He could not understand the methods of Kriya Yoga or the preaching on the self-knowledge. He was thinking like this: Guruji used to call me lovingly as Vyagra, which means a tiger. All my co-disciples are sitting on the skin of a tiger and are meditating. When the skin of a tiger is so sacred and benefits this yogi so much, how much greater the tiger should be. Moreover, Guruji asked me to strive for knowledge of the self. Self means myself only. What have I got to do with others? My name is Vyagreshwaradu. Therefore, I should be a tiger only. So I have to meditate upon the tiger only. That is my Atma. If I could get the form of a tiger, it amounts to my attaining self-knowledge. 1 year passed by. The Guru visited the place. He went to each cave and observed the progress made by his disciples in their spiritual quest. He could not find Vyagreshwara in his cave. Instead, a tiger was resting in the cave. Sri Guruji analyzed the matter through his yogic insight. He realized that as Vyagreshwaradu meditated intensely upon the form of a Vyagra, which is a tiger, he himself got transformed into a tiger. Guruji felt happy at the pure heart and cleanliness of the self of his disciple. He blessed him and taught him to utter Om. He asked him to constantly repeat the words Sripad, Rajaram, Saranam, Prapadaya as a mantra. Vyagreshwara reached near Kurvapuram in the form of a tiger. To reach Kurvapuram, one has to cross a river. At that time, Sripad Sri Vallabha was with the congregation of his devotees. He suddenly announced, "A great devotee of mine is calling me. I will go and immediately return." Saying so, he began walking on the water in his lustrous body. When Sripad Sri Vallabha was walking on the water in this manner, a lotus flower was emerging from the water at every spot where he was placing his sacred foot. He arrived at the river bank on the other side and saw Vyagreshwara, who was incessantly chanting the mantra on the auspicious divine feet of Sripad Sri Vallabha. Sri Vallabha mounted on the tiger and crossed the river floating on the water on the back of the tiger and reached Kurvapuram. All the people were witnessing the spectacle in utter astonishment. According to Datta Puran, Sri Dattatreya incarnated as Dharmashastra. When the Lord took birth as the son of Harihara, he arrived at the capital of the kingdom riding on a tiger. Devendra took the form of that tiger and served as a vehicle for Ayappa Swami or Dharmashastra. Some people were of the opinion that Sripad Sri Vallabha was verily Dharmashastra himself. God Amba rides both on a lion and the tiger also. So, some people were of the opinion that Sri Vallabha was an inseparable form of the universal Mother Goddess. The moment Sri Vallabha dismounted from the tiger after reaching Kurvapuram, the tiger fell dead. A great person with divine brilliance came out of the body of the tiger. He prayed to Sri Vallabha to use the skin of the tiger form of his previous birth as his seat. Sri Charan consented to that. With overflowing love, Sri Vallabha said, "My son, Vyagreshwara is one of your previous births. You were a very strong wrestler. But during that life, you were indulging in all sorts of cruel acts. Those activities include fighting with tigers, injuring them, capturing them, famishing them, and arranging their exhibitions for the recreation of people. On account of the past sinful acts, you are to take animal births in many lives, but with my grace, all that accumulated sin is cancelled in this life of a tiger. As you remained in the form of a tiger for a long time, you can assume that form at any time. I am granting you this boon. You will meet and obtain the blessings of many siddhas who are carrying out penance in the Himalayas for hundreds of years. May you rise to great heights in the path of yoga. Sripad bless Vyagreshwara in this manner. My dear Shankara Bhatt, before the creation, there was the first couple. When a wife becomes pregnant, she will have some desires. It is the duty of the husband to fulfill her desires. When Shravani becomes pregnant, Parameshwaran asked her if she had any desire. Then Shravani said, Lord, I experienced all pleasures having the body of a female. I do not know how the experience would be when having a male body. Hence, please oblige me. Parameshwara said, let it be so. Immediately Shravani took the form of a male. That was the form of Mahavishnu. There was no way for the child inside her to get out. Then a lotus sprouted from the navel of Mahavishnu. From that lotus, Brahman was born and started the creation. Sri Mahavishnu created the form of Shravana again with his body. The mysteries of God and the dramas are unthinkable. In this way, Sri Mahavishnu and Parvati became brothers and sisters. On the full moon day of Shravan Mash, Goddess Parvati built Rakhi for Lord Mahavishnu and said, Brother, Sri Bhola Shankara gives a boon to all without thinking of the merits and feasibility. Every such time you are manifesting in avatars with your Vishnu Maya to kill demons, thus saying, My Mangalam. Brother, let this practice of tying Rakhi remain forever as a symbol of love between brother and sister. Sri Mahavishnu said Tathastu. In accordance with this pledge only, when there was trouble from Bhasura, Sri Vishnu took the form of Mohini and annihilated him. Vishnu Maya is unthinkable. It is difficult to guess that it would be like this or that. Dharmashastra was born to Mohini and Shankara. After Dharmashastra was born, Mohini disappeared. Dharmashastra later took the avatar of Ayyappa Swami in Kali Yuga. There is a divine secret in this. Dharmashastra is none other than Sri Mahavishnu. In that form, Brahma and Rudra also merged with Sri Mahavishnu. So, we can say that it is Lord Dattatreya with those three forms merging. When Parameshwari manifested as the daughter of Pandya Bhupala with the name of Minakshi, Parameshwar manifested himself as Sundareshwar. But when Parameshwari manifested herself as Sri Kanyaka Parameshwari, the marriage did not take place. But the Pada Sri Vallabha manifestation is beyond place and time. Sri Vallabha manifested himself in Pithampuram in this Kali Yuga. But that same form of Sri Vallabha was there from the very beginning of creation in divine luminous worlds. The divine place of Sripad for 30 years from 1320 AD when he was born in Pithikapuram till 1350 AD when he disappeared in Kurvapuram cannot be comprehended even by the 7 rishis. How can we understand? I questioned, Swami, we are now in 1336 AD. Will that mean that Sri Vallabha will remain on earth for the next 14 years only? Will he end his avatar so early? Satguru Dev said, My dear, if Sri Vallabha is born, then there will be retreat. However, his play has no birth or death. He is not affected by time and place. Divine message from this Leela. Satguru decides who has to do what and draws him towards him and gets his work done, like Shankara Bhatt, who does not know who Sri Vallabha was, but he writes the Charitamrutam. Hence, we should have devotion and dedication towards our Guru. One should keep his mind open and should be hungry for knowledge. One should have willpower to overcome deficiencies and try to find a way out, like Vyagreshwara Sharma came out of his depression and takes effort to go to Himalayas and being immortal. One should have dedication and trust on the Guru to achieve the goal, like Vyagreshwara Sharma. If our dedication towards the Guru is strong, our Sadguru will guide us and remove all the past karmas based on the good karmas we do and reduce the bad effect of the karmas.